Here it is, my 1980 Triumph Spitfire, 1500. I picked this car up very cheap. If you know me, you know I'm cheap, so I picked this car up very, very inexpensively. Needs a lot of work. It's my new project, like I really needed another project. But here it is, 1980 Triumph Spitfire. Got the Weber carb on it. Got some headers on there. What else she got? Well, she's got a lot of work is what she's got. It's what she needs. Now I picked this car up. This car was on Martha's Vineyard. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace, and I always wanted a Triumph Spitfire. When I was a younger man back in the 70s, I had a friend that had a Triumph Spitfire, and in the summertime, we had a heck of a lot of fun on that car. We used to go riding around, partying all the time. Had a great time in it. So whenever I saw one of these cars, it had a little spot in my heart, and I said, man, if I could find one of these cheap one day and fix them up, I said, I'm gonna buy it. So I found this one on Marketplace. Paid $500 for it. Rented a trailer, went over to the island, picked it up, brought it back home. Started it up. I had to change the starter. The starter was bad in it when I got it. I didn't even hear it run. So I put a starter in it. Picked up a starter online for, I don't know what it was. It was probably around $50 or so. Put the starter in it. There's a starter down there, a brand new starter. Started right up. Ran great. Trouble is, when I pushed the clutch in, put it in gear, the clutch was stuck. So if you know anything about a stuck clutch, we tried everything. We jacked up the rear end, put it in gear and started it, then dropped the jack down real quick with the clutch pushed all the way in, hoping it would set the clutch free. Didn't work. So I tried that a few times. I said, well, before I break anything, I'm going to pull the transmission out and I'm going to fix the clutch in this car. And that's the point I'm at now. I pushed it inside the garage and I pulled the transmission out of it. Wasn't too hard of a job to do. I probably should have videotaped it, but wasn't really thinking about all this until now. But yeah, I pulled the transmission out of it. Not too bad of a job. Did it by myself, no help. There she sits, there's a tranny in there. We're gonna clean it up a little bit. And we're gonna throw a clutch in it. So here's the clutch and the clutch disc. Now, you know what, I've seen worse pressure plates come out of a vehicle. This one's a little blue, got some heat spots on it, a little bit of scoring, but not really too bad. But I'm gonna replace it anyway because I'm not going through all this work of taking everything out and not replacing the clutch. Here's the disc, clutch disc. Again, not too bad. This clutch has definitely been replaced in this vehicle at some point. I don't know when. But this clutch disc was stuck to the flywheel. The car obviously had sit for a while. And it was frozen to the flywheel to the point where I had to take a big screwdriver and pry it off the flywheel. So that's why it was stuck and why it wouldn't work. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to get a new clutch and a clutch disc. For all you Triumph guys out there, I don't know where you get your parts from, but this is where I've been getting most of my parts. From Moss Motors. You can go online, order anything you want for these cars. Well, some of the parts aren't available, but most parts are. And have the parts shipped right to your door. The prices aren't bad. Shipping's a little heavy on some things, but that's the way it is on the internet. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to order a new disc, new pressure plate, new throwout bearing. And we're going to get this old girl running so I can go down the road. So I actually did drive this car when I brought it home. I started it. And I got it running in the driveway. And I said, you know, when I was trying to loosen the clutch on it, I put it in gear and I started it up while it was in gear. And I drove it up the road a little bit, you know, shifted it without a clutch. I'm a truck driver, so, you know, you kind of Learned how to do that after a while, just using the RPMs. So it ran good, it rolled good down the street, and back again. So we'll see what happens with it. Got some cool stickers on it. Now this car here, when I first got it, I had dreams of painting this car, you know, a nice blue, nice deep blue. I was gonna do all the body work on it and paint it. But every single person that has come to this garage and has looked at this car, every one of them tells me, they say, oh man, do not paint this car. Leave it just the way it is. Do not paint it. It's got that patina on it. Originally, the car was white. Somebody painted blue over it. Had these big 8-ball stickers on it. They peeled the one off on the hood and the one off on the driver's door. You can still see the remnants from the sticker. But everybody said, do not paint that car. Get that car running. Get it mechanically sound and drivable. And do not paint it. Drive it just the way it is. Everybody loves it like this. So I don't know. I think I will for a little while. Maybe the rest of this. This is going to be my summer car. It's going to get me back and forth to work in the summertime. And I'm going to ride it. I'm going to drive it just like this. I'm going to not paint it. And I'm going to drive it around back and forth. I drive about 50 miles to work each way. So I'll be putting 100 miles a day on this old girl. So we'll see what happens with it. So also, while I got the camera here, the floors are kind of rough. I don't know if you can see it, kind of a lack of light here. But it's got some rough spots in it here. That Moss Motors does sell the floor pans for this. I may get the floor pans, cut the old ones out, weld new ones in. I don't know. Depends on how ambitious I get and how much money I want to spend on this car. I really don't want to spend too much. I just want to get it mechanically sound, safe. I'm going to go through all the brakes and everything. Make sure this thing runs good and stops good. And we'll see. I'll take it from there. So for now, I'm going to say see you later. Okay, so clutch came in last night. I ended up getting a Rhino Pack clutch kit by AMS Automotive. Picked it up on eBay. The whole kit I got, I think it was 130 something bucks, shipping and everything. So the whole kit comes with this tool, this clutch disc installation tool. Okay, if you've never used one of these, this is necessary. You can't put a clutch in without it, because when you put the clutch disc up against the flywheel, it has to line up with the pilot hole. That's what this does. So also, in case you don't know, you probably know, because if you didn't know, you wouldn't be doing anything like this. But every clutch disc has a flywheel side and a pressure plate side. They're usually stamped. Right over here it's stamped. Probably, I don't know if you can read it. It says flywheel side. So this side would go up against the flywheel. You take your tool. It's got splines. See how it has the same amount of splines as the clutch disc? Put it inside the clutch disc. Put it in. This end goes into the bushing in the flywheel. That holds it in there up against the flywheel. Perfectly true and in line with your transmission shafts that later on you're going to slide in there. So that goes in there. That comes with the kit. The disc comes. Also comes with a new throwout bearing that we're going to throw in there. And the pressure plate. Brand new pressure plate. So we got all our clutch parts, and put this new clutch in there and get her going. Okay, so here's our flywheel. I took a DA sander with some fine sandpaper on it and scuffed it up, cleaned it all off good. Excuse me. Took some lacquer thinner on a rag and cleaned it up. So here's our flywheel. Cleaned it up a little bit, took the scale and rust and dirt off of it, scuffed it up with a little abrasive, probably 120 grit sandpaper on a DA. Just cleaned it up real good. Wiped it down with some lacquer thinner. Ready to put our clutch in. Okay, so here we have our clutch disc. You can see it says there, let me turn it around here. It says flywheel side. This side goes against the flywheel. Very important. Put it in backwards, going to have a huge problem. So I put the plastic tool that comes with the clutch in the middle of this disc. I'm going to put it in the flywheel, up against the flywheel, before I put the pressure plate on. So. There it goes, straight in there, like that. Put the tool all the way in, push the disc up against the flywheel. Just like that. Okay, so the little problem I noticed as I was putting a new pressure plate on, but I didn't notice the whole time that I took this thing apart. So in these holes, there's 6 bolts, 2 in 3 different places. 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there. Well, in between those 3 holes, there's dowels that are in the flywheel. They go into the middle holes in between each bolt. Dowel there, dowel there, and as you can see over here, there's a dowel that's stuck in the old pressure plate. So all I got to do is knock that out and just tap it into the hole in the flywheel. Then I can install the clutch. So here we are. Here's the transmission, ready to go back into the car. Here's a good tip for you if you're working on old cars or older things, tractors, whatever, any kind of machinery. If you have a piece of the drivetrain or something out of the car like this, now is a good time to grab your phone, take a picture of any tags or anything, any serial numbers. See these numbers stamped in here on this overdrive case? It's got a serial number. This is all vital information should you ever need any parts or anything. Here's some numbers here on the bell housing. There's numbers on the other side, also on the transmission box and stuff. I take a picture of everything, even these, little stamps like this. Anywhere where there's a number or something, on the top here, it's got some numbers. I take a picture of all that stuff and I put it all in a folder with this car, with all the information, pictures and stuff I have of each vehicle I own. Actually, I have keep a good record of that stuff, because if you break a part or something, especially like on a transmission like this where it's got an overdrive attached to it. This is the overdrive unit right here. This is the transmission, that's the gearbox. Obviously that's the bell housing where the clutch goes. But this whole section here on the back, that's an overdrive unit. This car has a 6-speed, it's an overdrive. It's got an electric switch here on the top of the, I don't know if we can see this, let me see. It's got a switch here, you can flick that switch and you can put it into overdrive. On the highway, that's a huge thing with these cars. So it's great to log any information when you're, I don't want to say restoring a car, because I'm not restoring this car. I am revitalizing it. I'm getting it running and I'm going to drive it. I'm not going to restore it, because to me, restoration, you take the body off the car, you just strip everything down to the last nut and bolt and replace everything. And that isn't going to happen with this car. I'm going to keep it just the way it is, get it mechanically sound, and I'm going to drive it.